Morning, everybody. Michelle is here. Michelle is here on this early Sunday morning. My favorite day, Sunday. But like I said, all of them are my favorite. July the 19th, 2026. I think there was a birthday of a relative a couple of days ago. You know, it's hard for me to remember these days and birthdays and those kind of things. So that's why I say it's important to make every day a special day, not just a holiday. So anyway, I thought I'd get up and talk to you about some things. I slept well. I slept really well. So a lot of people are waking up, and I mean that literally, figuratively, and metaphorically, waking up to realizing that they have been sold a lie. Okay? They've been sold a lie. They've been told things, especially about our history, that a lot of them are realizing was nothing more, nothing less but lies, deception, manipulation, and in some cases, I say criminal. It was criminal behaviors and actions as it relates to our American history and how we've caused a generation of people to be lost in the abyss. And what do I mean by all of that? When I was in elementary school, and what I remember, I don't remember being taught very much about history, just the more derogatory things, where it really didn't, I do remember see, it depends on the teacher. I remember certain teachers that did everything in their power to teach us, but at the same time allow us to think about things. I knew this one teacher, he was really passionate about the American government, executive branch, judicial branch. I mean, he really, really went into that. And I think I can remember how passionate he was because he always smelled like Dow soap. When he would be pointing out things in a book for us, he'll come in to us individually, and I would smell Dow soap on it. Apparently he washed his hands with Dow soap. That's what we used back in the day. But each time, when you're young like that, unfortunately, there are going to be a lot of factors that you're going to have to consider to self-educate yourself. Now, you may not believe that you ought to be self-educated, say at an elementary age, middle school age. We used to call it junior high, I think, back in the day. But the self-education is what's going to propel you and prepare you for these life experiences. Just going to school and graduating from high school is not going to do it. Not at all. It barely touches the surface. So those of you that are going into college now or into any other higher education, hopefully you realize that it requires a lot more than what you were taught in elementary school, middle school, college, graduate school, bachelor's, wherever even in a trade, which are those kind of skills I believe are what's going to keep food on your table. A certain type of trade, whether it's plumbing, carpentry, electrician, just an all around fully functioning handyman or handywoman. Okay, you're going to need to know how to be resourceful and figure out how to fix things. That's how my dad was. My dad did not finish elementary school. I think he got out because of his obligations. He got out, I think in sometime just before middle school. But my dad had the skills and abilities to build a house completely and as well take a house down completely. He developed these skills via self-education, mentoring, watching other people work, and he figured things out on his own that way as well. So I get up on this Sunday morning to say to you, to the young minds, and also older minds, how resourceful are you? What can you fix if something were to break? What can you lift if you needed to move stuff around? You need the strength, you need the perseverance, you need the resilience to get things done. There's a lot of people that are going to be experiencing a lot of weather-related destruction, whereas you're going to be probably stuck in your house for days, weeks at a time, maybe months. So you're going to need to be resourceful, okay? Do you know how to prepare meals for yourself? Do you have enough drinkable water nearby, in a safe place, stored in a safe place? How are you going to provide yourself with the basic necessities? How to stay clean. If you were to cut yourself, do you have the first aid kits? Those kind of factors. When it comes to your vehicle, okay, what other transportation do you have? I know a lot of people, are hoarders, extreme hoarders, but they are not resourceful. They have all of this hoarding of material that's valueless, that has no value to it. It's just a lot of stuff, and I think a lot of them attempt to hide themselves into that. They become their materialism. They get themselves absorbed into their hoarding, whereas they believe they can disappear. It's all psychological, unfortunately. So again, self-education. Attempt to I have come across so many people, and I'm not kidding you, who tell me, they've been on particular jobs for a while, and they really don't know what the particular job requires. They're just going through the motion, not necessarily understanding what they're doing and why they're doing it. You need to know what you're doing, why you're doing, and allow it to make sense to you. Make sure that it's logical, rational, and reasonable. Make sure there's no manipulation, deception, or fraud going on. Because if you don't say anything, you're complicit. You might as well, be the one pulling the strings as well as being pulled by the strings. So get yourself up on this Sunday morning. You have to, I don't care what anyone says, you have to read books. You cannot believe that you can just exist without reading, even if the content is not necessarily, it may not add up, but you won't know that it doesn't add up until you get in there and start reading. Read a book. I started out with, small books, of course, and then I worked my way to, 300-page books. I have a book now that I plan to read shortly. Let me see. I think it's at least 300 pages. Let me see. How many pages is it? And I enjoy it. Before you know it, you get yourself absorbed into the material. Let me see if they got a grocery in here. You get yourself absorbed into the material. And before you know it, man, you are, let's see, how many pages is this? This is 400 pages. So, yeah, like 431 pages. So, I'm looking forward to reading that. And you have to absorb yourself into some material, be able to be discerning, and be able to figure things out. Okay? It's not enough to just graduate from high school. You're gonna be homeless or unhoused if you believe that's all you need. Okay, you're gonna have to develop a trade, develop some type of experiences other than what you were taught in high school. You're gonna have to self-educate yourself. Self-education. It's like, what are you? This guy is just walking in the middle of the street. He sees me coming. He's so distracted, just not paying attention. And that's unfortunate too, because the same thing happened the other night. It was pitch black, okay, after the sun goes down. And as I was approaching an intersection, I saw a shadow of someone's just about to step right into my vehicle, right in front of my vehicle. And this person would have been smashed and killed. Okay. And she was wearing dark clothing. And if it wasn't for the fact that the light put a spotlight on her shadow, of her attempting to cross the street, that would have been it. The left side of my vehicle would have destroyed her. Okay, because I was going under the speed limit, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop right now. I made it to my destination. But self-educate yourself. Okay, develop skills other than what you learn in elementary school. Some people hadn't read a book since elementary school. If you don't read a book, start with the children's book. No one has to know. Start with the children's book. No one has to know. Peace and love. Universal love.